Chosen one, listen to me carefully. I have an important and urgent message to share today. This message is not for everyone. This is only for God's chosen ones. If you are not walking the divine path, if your heart is not aligned with God, you may already feel uncomfortable listening to this, and that is your sign to leave. But if you are a true follower of God, if you have been walking this narrow road with faith, pain, patience, and obedience, then this message is meant for you, and it has reached you at the exact right time. Chosen one, congratulations. It is done. That heavy season you survived, that battle that drained you mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, you will never have to go through that again. God has closed that chapter permanently. What broke you before has no permission to return. This message came to you today because heaven knows you are ready to hear it. Something has shifted, something has ended, and something has been settled in the spiritual realm. Stay with me till the end, because what you will understand today will bring deep peace to your mind and clarity to your spirit. Before we continue, chosen ones, give a like to this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, tap the bell icon, share this message with other chosen ones, and comment 777 in the comments to declare that you are aligned with God's divine completion. The season that had to break you before it could release you. Chosen one, there are seasons God allows that make no sense while you are inside them. You prayed, you stayed faithful, you did not walk away, yet the pressure increased, the silence grew louder, the weight became heavier, and at times you wondered if you were being punished for something you could not even name. Let me speak clearly to your spirit now. What you went through was never punishment. It was preparation. God does not break his chosen ones to destroy them. He allows pressure to reveal what must be strengthened. The season you survived was designed to strip you of illusions, not purpose. It removed what could not go where God is taking you. And yes, it hurt. It had to. Growth that does not cost you anything never changes you deeply enough. You were stretched in ways others could not understand. People around you seemed to move forward effortlessly while you felt delayed, blocked, or isolated. That isolation was not abandonment. It was divine focus. God was training your discernment, sharpening your spiritual hearing, and teaching you how to stand without constant reassurance. You were learning how to trust him even when your emotions were exhausted. There were moments you cried alone, moments you questioned yourself, moments when you replayed conversations, decisions, and prayers, wondering where you went wrong. But the truth is, you didn't go wrong. You stayed when leaving would have been easier. You obeyed when rebellion would have felt justified. You endured when quitting would have brought temporary relief. That is not weakness. That is spiritual maturity being forged. This season tested your patience because patience was required for where you are going. It tested your faith because blind trust is necessary at higher levels. It tested your emotions because emotional control is protection for the future God has planned for you. And it tested your identity because you cannot carry insecurity into the next chapter. You felt misunderstood, even by people who claimed to love you. That was intentional. God was teaching you not to depend on human validation. You felt unseen, but heaven saw everything. Every tear, every sleepless night, every silent prayer you whispered when words failed you. None of it was wasted. There is something important you must understand. God will never elevate you using the same mindset that survived your last season. That is why things had to collapse internally before they could be rebuilt correctly. The breaking you experienced was not chaos. It was restructuring. God was removing old reactions, old attachments, old expectations, and old versions of you that could not survive in the new place he is bringing you into. You were not losing yourself. You were being refined. That season exposed triggers you didn't know you had. It revealed wounds you had learned to function with. It forced you to confront patterns that once felt normal, but were quietly draining your spirit. God allowed you to feel the weight so you would never glorify struggle again. You are not meant to live in survival mode forever. And listen carefully now. Once a lesson is fully learned, God does not repeat it. The season that broke you also completed its assignment. It took everything it was meant to take. It taught you everything it was meant to teach. That is why it ended. That is why it feels different now. That is why the pain no longer has the same grip on you. You are not the same person who entered that season. Your prayers sound different. Your reactions are calmer. Your tolerance for chaos is lower. Your discernment is sharper. These are signs of growth, not emotional numbness. You are no longer desperate for answers because you trust God's timing more than your own understanding. The reason it felt unbearable at times is because you were never meant to stay there. That season was a passage, not a residence. And now, chosen one, you have crossed it. The weight has lifted not because circumstances suddenly changed, but because you changed. God does not release people from seasons randomly. He releases them when the work is done, and for you, the work is done. The breaking is over. The lesson is complete, and the version of you that needed to suffer to grow has already been formed. You didn't fail, you finished, and because you finished, you are free. Why God will never allow you to walk that path again. Chosen one, hear this with clarity and let it settle deep in your spirit. God is not a God of repetition when a lesson has already been learned. He does not recycle pain once it has completed its purpose. The reason you will never have to walk that path again is not because you avoided it, but because you finished it. Completion carries authority. Endurance releases permission for progression. Many people live in cycles because they resist correction. They repeat the same emotional storms because they refuse to grow beyond familiar patterns. But you did not resist. You stayed present. You listened. You adjusted. Even when you didn't fully understand what God was doing, you still surrendered. That surrender is the reason heaven closed that door behind you permanently. God operates with spiritual laws, and one of those laws is this. Once maturity is reached, regression is blocked. You cannot return to a place you have outgrown. Even if you tried, it would no longer fit you. The emotional tolerance you once had for confusion, chaos, and instability is gone. Not because you became hard, but because you became wise. You may still remember the pain, but you no longer belong to it. Memory does not mean assignment. Just because you remember what you survived does not mean you are destined to relive it. God allows memory so you gain discernment, not fear. The purpose of memory is wisdom, not anxiety. Some of you secretly worry and think, what if it comes back? What if I have to go through that again? Let me speak truth into that fear right now. God does not test what has already been proven. He does not reopen wounds that have already healed. He does not reassign battles that have already been won. That season demanded strength you did not know you had, and now that strength lives in you permanently. God would not insult the growth He cultivated in you by sending you backward. Advancement may feel unfamiliar, but regression would feel unnatural to you now. This is why things that once shook you no longer have power. This is why certain conversations don't affect you anymore. This is why triggers that once controlled your emotions now barely move you. God didn't remove the challenge. He removed its authority over you. Understand this clearly. When God closes a chapter, He seals it. Not temporarily, not conditionally, permanently. The enemy cannot reopen what God has finalized. People cannot drag you back into spaces you have spiritually exited. Situations cannot repeat themselves once the lesson has been absorbed. You are protected now by understanding. You are guarded by wisdom. You are stabilized by trust. And these are stronger than emotional resilience. Emotional resilience gets tired. Spiritual maturity does not. You no longer react the same way because you no longer interpret life the same way. You have learned when to be silent. You have learned when to walk away. You have learned that not every explanation is necessary. These lessons are shields. They prevent you from returning to environments that drain your spirit. God also removes access when a season ends. That is why certain doors closed suddenly. That is why some people faded without conflict. That is why certain opportunities disappeared without warning. It wasn't loss, it was protection. God knew that if those doors stayed open, They might tempt you to revisit places you no longer belong. And let me tell you something important. Growth does not mean life will never challenge you again. But it does mean the challenges will come from a higher level, with more stability, and with greater support. You will not be challenged in the same way, because you are no longer the same person. The old path required survival. The new path requires discernment. The old season demanded endurance. The new season demands wisdom, and wisdom prevents repetition. God also honors obedience. You obeyed when it cost you comfort. You stayed aligned even when it felt lonely. That obedience activated a spiritual boundary around you. Some things simply cannot reach you anymore. They may exist, but they are not assigned to you. This is why peace is becoming your natural state. This is why chaos feels foreign. This is why you crave stillness more than stimulation. These are signs that God has repositioned you internally. Chosen one, the reason you will never have to go through that again is because it would no longer teach you anything. And God does not waste seasons. Every season has a purpose. Once fulfilled, it expires. So stop fearing repetition. Stop preparing for battles that are no longer assigned to you. Stop bracing yourself for pain that God has already removed from your path. That chapter is closed. Not because you demanded it, but because you earned your release through faith, obedience, and endurance. God is not calling you back. He is calling you forward. The inner shift you didn't notice, but heaven did. Chosen one. There is something that happened inside you quietly, slowly, almost unnoticed. It did not arrive with noise or announcement. It did not demand attention, but heaven saw it clearly. While you were focused on surviving, God was completing an internal shift that changed everything. You may not even realize how different you are now. Not because life suddenly became easy, but because your inner world no longer reacts the same way. Things that once pulled you into emotional spirals now pass without attaching themselves to you. Situations that once stole your peace now lose their grip faster. This is not numbness. This is mastery. At one time you needed reassurance to feel stable. You needed answers to feel safe. You needed clarity before you could move forward. But now, there is a calm within you that does not depend on explanations. You have learned how to breathe through uncertainty. You have learned how to wait without panic. You have learned how to trust God without demanding immediate proof. That is the shift. Heaven measures growth differently than humans do. People look for external success, loud victories, visible rewards. God looks for internal alignment. He watches how you respond when things don't go your way. He observes how you handle silence. He notices whether you still obey when no one is applauding you. And in that hidden space, you changed. You stopped fighting every battle. You stopped explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You stopped reacting to every provocation. Not because you became passive, but because you became discerning. You finally understood that your energy is sacred, and heaven noticed the moment you stopped wasting it. There was a time when emotional chaos felt familiar to you. Even painful familiarity can feel comfortable. But God gently removed that attachment. Now, when chaos tries to enter your life, it feels foreign. It feels disruptive. It feels unnecessary. That discomfort is not weakness. It is evidence that you no longer belong there. Some of you think you lost something along the way. You think you lost passion, excitement, or emotional intensity. But what you actually lost was emotional dependency. You lost the need for drama to feel alive. You lost the urge to overreact to feel validated. You lost the habit of attaching your worth to outcomes you cannot control. What replaced it is far more powerful. Stability, discernment, self-respect, quiet confidence. Your prayers sound different now. They are less desperate, more trusting. You no longer beg God to fix everything. You ask Him to guide you. You are not trying to force doors open anymore. You wait for alignment. That patience is not delay. It is authority under control. You also stopped internalizing everything. At one point, you blamed yourself for situations that were never yours to carry. You questioned your worth when others projected their confusion onto you. You absorbed emotions that were not yours. But something shifted. You now recognize what belongs to you and what does not. That clarity is spiritual maturity. Heaven noticed when you chose peace over being right. Heaven noticed when you chose silence over unnecessary conflict. Heaven noticed when you trusted God's timing even when it tested your patience. Those choices changed your spiritual posture. You are no longer led by emotion alone. You are led by discernment. That does not mean you stopped feeling. It means feelings no longer control your direction. You can feel deeply without being driven blindly. That balance is rare, and it is protected. You may have wondered why certain people drifted away without explanation, why connections faded naturally, why conversations ended quietly. That was not loss. That was alignment. God was removing access to old versions of you that no longer exist. You don't chase closure anymore. You don't force clarity. You trust that what is meant to stay will stay, and what is meant to leave will leave peacefully. That trust was earned through pain, and heaven honors earned trust. There is also a deeper confidence forming inside you. Not arrogance, not pride, unknowing. You know who you are now. You know what you tolerate and what you don't. You know when to walk away. You know when to stay silent. You know when to wait. That knowing is dangerous to chaos. It removes its power. The reason this shift feels subtle is because it happened gradually. God did not rush it. He allowed layers to fall away naturally. He waited until you were ready to release them. And when you did, the shift became permanent. You are not becoming someone new. You are returning to who you were meant to be without fear controlling you, without overthinking exhausting you, without emotional weight slowing you down. Heaven marked the moment you stopped needing to prove yourself. That is when things changed. You may not see fireworks. You may not feel dramatic excitement, but peace is louder in the spiritual realm than noise. Stability is more powerful than intensity, and grounded faith is stronger than emotional highs. Chosen one, what changed inside you cannot be undone. It was not temporary motivation. It was internal alignment. And once alignment happens, everything else adjusts around it. You didn't notice it happening, but heaven did. The invisible protection now surrounding you. Chosen one, there is a level of protection that does not announce itself. It does not make noise. It does not show signs, but it is real, and it is active around you right now. This protection did not come because you demanded it. It came because you earned it through obedience, endurance, and alignment. Before, you were exposed in ways you didn't fully understand. Certain words affected you deeply. Certain people could disturb your peace easily. Certain situations could drain you for days. That was not because you were weak. It was because you were still in a season of learning. But now something has changed. There is a boundary around you that did not exist before. God does not protect people the same way at every stage. Early on, protection looks like correction. It feels uncomfortable. It feels restrictive. It feels like delay. But once growth is complete, protection becomes distance. God simply removes access. Some things don't even reach you anymore. Have you noticed how certain problems stopped showing up? How some conflicts never fully form? How some situations dissolve before they escalate? That is not coincidence. That is divine interference working quietly in your favor. You are being shielded from emotional exhaustion. You are being shielded from unnecessary attachments. You are being shielded from environments that once drained your spirit. God saw how much weight you carried before, and He decided you would not carry it again. This protection also looks like discernment. You sense things early now. You feel when something is off before it becomes a problem. You notice red flags without having to experience the damage. That awareness is protection. It keeps you from entering spaces that would pull you backward. There was a time when you learned lessons the hard way. You had to experience pain to understand truth. But now, God teaches you through clarity. You no longer need to be hurt to learn. Wisdom has replaced suffering. Some of you wonder why certain people suddenly feel distant, why conversations feel shorter, why access feels limited. That is not rejection. That is God closing doors gently so you don't have to. He knows that if you remained open to everything, you would be tempted to revisit what you've outgrown. Protection also shows up as silence. God does not allow every voice to reach you anymore. Not every opinion matters. Not every criticism deserves your attention. Your spirit filters what enters your mind now. That filter was installed through pain, but it functions through peace. There are attacks that were assigned to you that never reached you. Conversations that could have harmed you but never happened. Opportunities that looked good but would have cost you peace that never materialized. That is protection working ahead of you. You may not always understand why certain things don't work out, why some doors close without explanation. But later, you will realize God saved you from emotional chaos you didn't need to endure. He protected you from distractions disguised as blessings. This protection is also internal. You are not as easily shaken anymore. You don't spiral the same way. You don't internalize every setback. Even when challenges arise, they don't consume you. That inner stability is stronger than any external shield. God does not remove all challenges from your life, but He controls their intensity. He ensures nothing overwhelms you the way it used to. You are no longer exposed. You are covered. There was a time when you had to fight battles alone, when you felt unguarded, vulnerable, and tired. But now, God stands between you and what once harmed you. Some things simply cannot cross that line. This is why your intuition feels sharper, why you feel uneasy before something goes wrong, why you withdraw without needing a reason. That is not fear. That is alignment responding to protection. You are not meant to analyze this protection too much. You are meant to trust it. Overthinking it weakens its effect. Peace strengthens it. Some of you worry that this calm won't last, that something will disrupt it. Let me be clear. God does not give temporary peace to those who have completed their season. This peace is the result of order being restored. It is not fragile. It is established. The invisible protection around you is not dramatic. It does not seek attention, but it is consistent. And consistency is the mark of divine security. You may not see angels. You may not feel supernatural sensations, but you feel stable. You feel grounded. You feel clear. That is how true protection feels. Chosen one, you are not being spared because you are special. You are being protected because you are aligned, and alignment attracts covering. Rest in that, trust that, and move forward without fear. Why others may not understand you anymore. And that's okay. Chosen one, there comes a point in spiritual growth where explanation becomes unnecessary. Not because you are superior, and not because others are wrong, but because your inner language has changed. When your spirit matures, not everyone can interpret you correctly anymore. And that is not a problem. It is a sign of progression. There was a time when being understood felt important to you. You wanted people to see your heart, your intentions, your struggle. You explained yourself often. You clarified. You defended. You adjusted your tone so others would feel comfortable. But something shifted. You realized that understanding is not something you can force. It has to meet you at your level. As you grew, your priorities changed. What once felt urgent now feels minor. What once triggered you now feels distant. Conversations that used to excite you now feel empty. This is not disinterest. This is discernment. You are no longer drawn to noise. You are drawn to depth. People may say you are different, quieter, more reserved, less reactive. They may not recognize you the way they used to. That is because they are remembering a version of you that no longer exists. You have outgrown the role they assigned you, and that can feel uncomfortable for them. Some people only understand you when you are struggling. When you are healing, stable, and grounded, they don't know how to relate to you. Your calm exposes their chaos. Your boundaries reveal their expectations. Your silence unsettles those who benefited from your explanations. You may notice that you no longer feel the need to convince anyone of your growth. You don't seek validation. You don't chase recognition. You let your life speak quietly. That quiet confidence can be confusing to those who are used to loud reassurance. There will be moments when you feel alone, even among people, not isolated, but unseen. That is not abandonment. That is alignment, creating distance where depth is required. God does not allow everyone access to you at every stage. Misunderstanding is often a form of protection. It filters out those who are not meant to walk with you in the next season. If everyone understood you, you would be exposed to influence you no longer need. You are learning that peace does not require agreement. You don't need everyone to approve of your path. God's confirmation is enough. Once that settles in your spirit, external opinions lose their weight. You also stop explaining your boundaries. You simply maintain them. You no longer justify why you need space. You no longer apologize for protecting your peace. You understand that not everyone deserves access to your inner world. This can feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you were once deeply empathetic, emotionally available, and constantly accommodating. But God is teaching you balance, compassion without self-sacrifice, kindness without depletion. Some people will interpret your growth as distance. Others will call it change. Let them. Growth always looks like distance to those who remain in the same place. You are not obligated to shrink to make others comfortable. You will also notice that conversations change. You listen more than you speak. You observe before you respond. You choose your words carefully. Silence becomes a tool, not a weakness. This silence protects your energy and preserves your clarity. God never intended for you to be fully understood by everyone. Even Jesus was misunderstood. Truth often feels unfamiliar before it feels accepted. You don't need to correct every misconception. Your peace is more valuable than proving a point. There will be people who drift away without conflict. They simply fade. That is not loss. That is transition. God is moving you into spaces where depth replaces familiarity. You are not becoming cold. You are becoming clear. You are not withdrawing from love. You are withdrawing from confusion. You are not isolating. You are aligning. Let go of the need to be understood. It is heavy. God did not assign you that burden. He assigned you obedience, faith, and growth. Everything else will align naturally. Chosen one, being misunderstood does not mean you are wrong. Often it means you are early, and those meant to walk with you will understand without explanation. Peace does not need an audience. How to walk forward without fear, doubt, or overthinking. Chosen one, now that the season has closed, God is not asking you to rush forward. He is asking you to walk forward correctly. There is a difference. Rushing is driven by fear. Walking is guided by trust. And trust is what God is cultivating in you now. One of the biggest habits you are being released from is overthinking. Overthinking was a survival tool in your last season. You analyzed everything because you had to protect yourself. You replayed moments because clarity felt scarce. But now, that habit no longer serves you. God is teaching you to rest your mind without losing awareness. Walking forward without fear does not mean you will never feel uncertainty. It means uncertainty no longer controls your decisions. You have learned that God does not reveal the entire path at once. He reveals enough for the next step, and that is enough. You don't need to calculate every outcome anymore. You don't need to anticipate every problem. God is not asking you to manage the future. He is asking you to remain aligned in the present. Alignment handles what anxiety never could. Doubt often comes when you try to move ahead of God instead of with Him. In this new season, your pace matters. Slow obedience is more powerful than rushed confidence. You are learning how to pause without panic, how to wait without frustration, how to move without forcing. When fear tries to speak, it will sound logical. It will remind you of what went wrong before. It will try to protect you by keeping you still. But fear only knows the past. God knows the future. And the future God is leading you into does not require constant defense. Walking forward now looks simple. Prayer that is honest, not dramatic. Decisions that feel peaceful, not pressured. Relationships that feel safe, not draining. If something pulls you into confusion, it is not alignment. God's guidance may challenge you, but it will not torment you. You also don't need to announce your next move. Silence is part of your protection. Let God establish what He is building in you before others weigh in. Not everyone needs to know what God is doing with you. Some things grow best unseen. You may notice that your intuition is quieter now, but clearer. It does not shout. It nudges. It doesn't rush you. It grounds you. Trust that. God is guiding you through peace, not pressure. Overthinking will try to convince you that if you relax, something will go wrong. But peace is not negligence. Peace is confidence in God's ability to handle what you cannot. You are allowed to rest your mind now. You are allowed to enjoy stillness. Walking forward also means forgiving yourself for how you survived. You did the best you could with what you knew then. Release regret. Regret keeps you tied to a version of you that God has already healed. You don't need to revisit old decisions to validate new wisdom. God is not asking you to be perfect. He is asking you to be present. Pay attention to what brings peace. Pay attention to what drains you. These are signals, not coincidences. You are also learning how to trust small beginnings. Not every step will feel significant. Some days will feel ordinary. That is okay. God does not always move in dramatic shifts. Often he moves in steady alignment. If doubt rises, return to what you know. God carried you through what you thought you would not survive. He will not abandon you now. Remind your mind of your history with him. Faith grows stronger when memory is used wisely. You don't need to force motivation. You don't need to chase purpose. Purpose unfolds as you remain obedient. Your job is not to figure everything out. Your job is to stay connected. Walking forward without fear also means releasing the need for certainty. Certainty belongs to control. Faith belongs to trust. You are being trained to trust without conditions. You may still feel moments of hesitation. That is human. Do not judge yourself for that. Just don't let hesitation become paralysis. Move gently. Move prayerfully. Move honestly. God is not watching to see if you will fail. He is guiding you to succeed in a way that protects your peace. Let him lead without interference. Chosen one, this new walk is lighter because you are not carrying what you were never meant to carry. Fear no longer leads you. Doubt no longer defines you. Overthinking no longer controls you. Walk forward calmly. God is already ahead of you. The new season you're stepping into, quiet, stable, and blessed. Chosen one, this new season you are stepping into may not look the way you once imagined. It is not loud. It is not dramatic. It does not arrive with chaos or emotional intensity. And that is exactly how you know it is from God. What he is giving you now is not excitement that fades, but stability that lasts. For a long time, you were conditioned to associate growth with struggle. You believed that if something was meaningful, it had to be painful. If it was divine, it had to be difficult. But God is gently correcting that belief in you now. This season is not about survival. It is about alignment. And alignment feels peaceful. You may notice that things are settling instead of escalating. Your mind feels clearer. Your emotions feel steadier. Your spirit feels grounded. There is less urgency and more assurance. That does not mean you are stagnating. It means you are finally standing on solid ground. This season is quiet because chaos is no longer needed to get your attention. God no longer needs to shake things apart to guide you. You hear him now. You trust him now. You respond without resistance. Quiet obedience replaces forced transformation. Stability may feel unfamiliar at first. When you are used to constant movement, stillness can feel uncomfortable. When you are used to emotional highs and lows, balance can feel empty. But do not confuse peace with absence. Peace is presence without pressure. You are entering a season where blessings arrive gently. Not everything will come at once. Not everything will demand urgency. God is teaching you how to receive without anxiety, how to enjoy without guilt, how to build without burnout. This season values consistency over intensity. Small steps matter. Daily peace matters. Healthy routines matter. You are learning how to honor your energy instead of exhausting it. You are learning how to listen to your body, your spirit, and God's quiet guidance. There is also a sense of safety forming around you. Not because nothing will ever go wrong, but because you trust God to handle whatever comes. That trust allows you to relax internally. You no longer brace yourself for impact. You move forward with confidence instead of caution. This season is blessed because it is balanced. You are not being pulled in every direction. You are not overextending yourself. You are selective now. You say yes with intention. You say no without guilt. That discernment protects what God is building in you. You may notice that your desires are changing. You crave depth over distraction. You value peace over applause. You choose purpose over pressure. These changes are signs of maturity, not loss of ambition. Your ambition is simply aligned now. God is also restoring joy in simple things. Rest feels satisfying. Silence feels comforting. Ordinary days feel meaningful. You are no longer waiting for life to begin. You are living it with awareness. This season is also about integration. Everything you learned before is being applied naturally. You are not forcing wisdom. You are living it. You are not proving growth. You are embodying it. Some people may expect you to struggle again. They may assume calm means complacency. But God knows what He is doing. He is establishing you before expanding you. He is grounding you before elevating you. Do not rush this season. Do not compare it to anyone else's journey. What God is building in you now requires patience and care. Quiet seasons create strong foundations. You are also being taught how to receive without fear. You no longer question whether you deserve peace. You no longer feel guilty for resting. You understand that rest is not weakness. It is wisdom. This season may not be flashy, but it is fruitful. It may not be loud, but it is lasting. It may not impress everyone, but it aligns with heaven. Chosen one, this season is blessed because it is sustainable. God is not testing you now. He is trusting you. He is allowing you to walk without constant correction. That is not distance. That is confidence. Stay present. Stay grounded. Stay grateful. What God is doing now will support everything He releases later. Quiet seasons prepare you for stable elevation. Conclusion: you are done carrying what God already removed. Chosen one, take a deep breath and let this truth settle into your spirit. You are done carrying what God already removed from your life. That weight you held onto for so long no longer belongs to you. You don't have to manage it, revisit it, or prepare for it to return. God has already handled it. This chapter is not ending because you escaped it. It is ending because it fulfilled its purpose. You grew, you learned, you endured, and heaven acknowledged your completion. That is why peace feels natural now. That is why fear feels unnecessary. That is why your spirit feels lighter. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not missing anything. You are exactly where God intended you to be at this moment. What is ahead of you does not require suffering to access. It requires trust, obedience, and calm faith. And you have already proven you can walk that way. Do not let old memories convince you that old pain still has authority. It does not. Do not let past seasons define future expectations. God has done something new inside you, and it cannot be undone. Rest in what God has completed. Walk forward without fear. Let peace guide your decisions. Let discernment protect your heart. You no longer need to struggle to grow. Growth is now happening naturally. Chosen one, this message reached you because you were ready to receive it. Not earlier, not later. Right on time. Before you leave, give a like to this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, tap the bell icon, and share this message with other chosen ones who need this reassurance today. And comment 777 in the comments to declare that you are fully aligned with God's divine completion and walking forward in peace. You are done with that season, and God is pleased with how you finished.